everyone, my name is Sam, and thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification, and give the video a thumbs up. As you may be able to tell, we finally stopped getting rain 24/7, and now we're under a heat wave. Well, heat wave for northern Alberta, but it's sunny, so yay for natural lighting. So this week I want to talk about the books that I read. It was actually like a slower reading week in terms of just overall quantity, but we had an author chat, and I'm in the middle, like literally just hit the 50% mark of Drums of Autumn, which is like an 800-page book. Because it's Outlander, all the books are 800 pages, so that will hopefully be done next week. So the first book that I read this week was Saint's Blood by Sebastian de Castell. This is the third book in the Great Coats Quartet, and I love this. This is my favorite of the three that I've read in this series so far. They kind of just like, they each are like very distinctly different. They each have very distinct things that happen in them, and I love each part of them. But this one was just really, 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 really good. So this book kind of picks up timeline-wise where the first and second book kind of ended. It's the same characters, it's Falkio and it's Greycoats, and there is this whole political realm battle thing going on. But we start getting this element, and it is a heavy focus, really. The sole focus of this book, plot-wise, is the Saints, as you might be able to tell from the title. But things are going wrong with the Saints. These people are, saints are being killed, and they're trying to figure out exactly what's going on, and there's magic, and Falkio is forced essentially to try and kill a saint, and there's just so much going on, and it's on top of like the political strife and the territorial problems that were brought up in the first and second book. I think my favorite part of this book was getting to know, like, you really do get, I feel like, know more about Falkio's dead wife in this more than the other books. But he also has the romance with this other woman in here. And I actually kind of liked how this book left it. Like, it's just, I feel like it was very realistic for the situation in a world where saints are real people and they start being killed, and there's a battle between the saints and the gods, and then there's someone on the world, and there's just so much happening. But yeah, but there was very little of this book I didn't like. I thought it was going to take me 2 days to get through because it's like 600 pages. Think, but I read it in like a handful of hours. I just whipped through it. I didn't want to put it down. It was so, so good. I love Falkio's continuous inner struggle and his kind of ragtag family that has grown up around him that is just like, yeah, we're just going to ignore you. We know you're going to do that self-pity thing, but, we all know where we stand. We're going to help you, and we're all in this together. Kind of reminds me a lot of like Harry Potter, the way he's constantly like trying to trick people to get them out of the way so he can take the brunt of the things with Voldemort and Umbridge and all those people. But then, Weasley and Granger and all these people always end up coming back. So it just really reminded me of that, and I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I am so excited / sad to read the fourth book, but if it just gets better, then like, awesome. Then I finally read Wires and Nerves by Marissa Meyer and, where's his name? Doug Holgate is the artist. So this is the graphic novel, the first volume. There is a second one out. I don't know if there's going to be more than that. So this focuses on Aiko's story after winter, but before some of the stories in Stars Above. So there's this kind of gap when, now Luna is, taken over, and Cinder is, queen, and she has to fix everything that Lavanna and her family had broken. And this was something that I had actually thought of. I wasn't actually sure what the plot was. I just knew it was from Aiko's perspective. But this is something I had actually thought of after reading them. I was like, what happens to all, like the wolves and everything that were left on planet Earth? Because, like, she sent all these, like, messed uply trained and genetically modified people, wolves, animals, things, to Earth. Do they automatically, like, shut off when Lavanna dies? And it was just like, oh, well, I guess that's just kind of like an open thing that, books leave that kind of stuff sometimes. But it's kind of a value. It's mentioned. Well, it's a big plot point in here. So we follow Aiko, and she is, it starts off with Cinder. She's saying, like, Earth is not really trusting Luna right now, kind of justifiably. But our big problem is there keeps being reports of all these wolf attacks around the planet, and they think that we're still sanctioning it. So Aiko goes to planet Earth and tries to start rounding up these wolves. And she starts noticing after a couple roundups that she always seems to get one, like all of a pack except for 1 or 2 of them, and they get away. And then when all of these characters start kind of interacting again, and Cinder is potentially going back to Earth, and she tells, her politicians that she wants to dismantle the monarchy and create republic, and now there is kind of a, I don't know if coup attempt is right, but the genetically modified wolves are still angry, and they're angry at Cinder, and they want to be fixed back, essentially, but they don't think that there is currently a way to do that. So that's kind of where it is. It's a lot of focus on Thorn, which I actually really, really liked in this one. I think they did a really good job of like continuing the same characteristics from the novels into the graphic novel, which I think is sometimes pretty difficult to do. But you get all these sweet moments where he's Thorn with Cress, and then you meet his family, which we know from the books he has family issues, and it's just so interesting. I love Aiko as well. She just gets much more screen time, and she's such an entertaining character, but she's such a weird character, but she has like a malfunctioning character chip, right? So it's just, this is just so good. I absolutely loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm definitely going to pick up the second volume. I also really want to give a nod to the artist, Doug Holgate. I absolutely loved that all of the images are in a dark blue, or really just in a blue hue. It really did, I don't know why, it makes me think of the moon. Like, it's just so, it was a really, really good art choice. I loved it, and all the character bubbles and everything are really well done. I liked the kind of chapter separation pages, if I can find one. So, like, each of them is ended with the stars and constellations, and then you get your chapter. But I really liked it, actually. I'm hoping the next one will get more of Kay and Scarlet and Wolf. I anticipate so, because Wolf is a wolf. So I have a feeling that's going to come into play. So I would highly recommend this one, actually. If you liked the Lunar Chronicles, it's a good pickup, and it's pretty quick to read. I completed, as of this week, one of my 2018 reading goals was to reread the Harry Potter series, which I now have done. So, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the 7th and final book in the series, and I forgot so much of this book. All of the things with Dumbledore's sister, Ariana, and his brother, like, I remember kind of, like, vaguely his brother being like, they had brother issues. Totally forgot about how Rita Skeeter, I mean, I hate her nonetheless, but how she skews things and the whole story behind them. And I actually really liked, I feel like it was pretty realistic when Harry's, like, pissed off right away when he hears or reads Rita Skeeter's claims of Dumbledore and Grindelwald and their whole thing along with his sister. But I like that he develops and kind of, even if that is true, we can accept this because, which I feel like is realistic. Not everything is going to be cookie cutter perfect, or like, because a lot of this stuff has to do with politics as well. Like, not every politician you're going to vote for is perfect, but you have to evaluate, your needs and all that stuff. So I really, really liked this book. It's so good. I'm so sad it's over. However, this book is so deathy. Like, when you think of how the first book is to the last book, when I read the first Harry Potter book, I think in grade 4, this is not something I would have even been able to, like, get through. Dobby would have died, which, by the way, that's not a spoiler. That's just general life knowledge now. I would have, like, crumbled and just never finished reading the book. I mean, the first beginning starts with, like, an animal. It's just so dark. Like, I don't know, Rowling, why she had to do it like that. But, however, I complain about this, and then 20 minutes later, I'll complain that a book has, like, too happy cookie cutter of an ending. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a way to please me. But, yeah. So, I mean, 5 out of 5 stars. Harry Potter, final battle with Voldemort after Dumbledore's been killed, and the whole Draco Malfoy. P.S. We don't talk about Cursed Child. It's not real. This is the end of the series. And lastly, I picked up and finished Stormdancer by Jay Kristoff. This is the first book in the Lotus War trilogy. I think this is his first published book. I kind of realized in the last little while, I wasn't aware of it all when I guess it all happened, but I guess it came out that Jay Kristoff Wikipedia'd a lot of, like, the Japanese culture information and just plugged it in here, which I feel like is sketchy. However, I think if I remember what people told me correctly, it was like he called himself out, or he's acknowledged that was messed up. So, I mean, props to him for acknowledging that, and I assume he's never going to do that again. And however, as someone, I really don't know anything about Japanese culture, so I honestly don't know about this, what was right or what was wrong or what was fantasy or what was actual historical detail. So I'm not really one that I think can kind of comment on that part. However, I did anticipate it being more, I don't know if dark's the right word, but it's kind of pitched as this very steampunky thing, but it came up more as like like just like a not generic, just like a regular fantasy, no steampunk elements. Like there's this weird kind of bird. I feel like for steampunk, my brain would be like, okay, you need to have like mechanics or like elements in play or something like that. But it was actually really interesting. It talks about this. Honestly, it's a giant metaphor for oil. Like let's be real. I don't if this isn't, I don't know what is. In this world where we sacrifice humans like literally in order for a natural resource that we extract and then use to disseminate to rich other communities who then pretend that they don't know what's going on or all the information is literally hidden from them. I mean, this is like just swap out the blood lotus for oil. Like that's, I mean, it's kind of bluntly obvious to me, but I wasn't crazy about the first third or so. I felt like there was just a lot of info dumping. Nothing really happened. It was very weird, I think, for me, as having read Jay Kristoff's most recent stuff. It didn't read kind of like his writing, which this is his debut, so I understand why, he's obviously grown since this writing in a variety of ways. However, it really did start picking up about the halfway mark, and the ending was really, really interesting. I'm so curious to see where the other two books are going to go. However, I also know that, like, there were, like I said, like the first third, or like there was like some info dumping kind of throughout where I kind of just zoned out. I was still reading, but I wasn't really intaking and processing things. So I think this is one where now that I know it's not really a steampunk, because I was really in the mood for like maybe like Alchemist of Loom steampunk, which really isn't what this is, then maybe I'll give it a reread, and then maybe that'll be my 2019 goals, to reread this and then read the second two in the Lotus War series, as well as learn more about Japan and the culture and see what was correct and what was not correct. Based on like the plot alone, I mean, I think I gave it like a 4 out of 5 stars because it was really good afterwards, and it's traditional Jay Kristoff near the end, but like I said, I'm not really one that can really say much about the culture stuff in there. It's just unfortunately not something that I am informed upon, but the plot itself was actually quite interesting to me. So I think I ended up giving this like a 3.5 or 4 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books that I started and finished this week, but like I said, I'm also halfway through 410 pages in now, I think, on Drums of Autumn, so keep an eye out for that review next week, as well as some other books. Make sure to check the description box down below. I will link all of these books to their Goodreads pages, and I will also link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back.